morning. It is a good day to have a good day. Finally, the sun is out. It is one of those rare mornings because we have been seeing cold, rain, chills and all that. But here in Nairobi, it is bright and sunny and just a good day to tune in to New Day TV on YouTube and Facebook and join us on our show today, the Tackle Show, that is Siasa Wednesday. We are here to talk about the current political issues in the country, and we would like you to join us, have a conversation with us, like, share, subscribe, comment and let us know also what you think. I am your host, Chepkoech Towett, and today I am joined by two lovely women. You guys look really nice. Thank you for honoring our invite. On my immediate right, I have Honorable Eunice Jepchumba, HSC. She is the chair, Maendeleo ya Wanawake Mount Elgon, also the ED of ECEN organization, who is a sociologist and a policy advocate. Joining me on my not so far right is Tasline Otieno, who is a policy and research practitioner at Nguvu Collective. Karibuni sana. Ladies, how are you doing? How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling great. The weather is lovely. So yes, it's just amazing to also meet this friend of mine. Something.
Jepchumba, you look so nice in your African
She does.
wear.
Thank you.
Karibu to the show. And I know you have traveled from very far, lakini karibu Nairobi.
Asante.
Anyway, we will do a quick review of our newspapers this morning. And starting us off is People's Daily. And the headline is Finally White Smoke Over Doctor Strike. We have seen COG, that is Council of Governors, sign a back-to-work formula with the KMPDU finally. And the same will be done with the Ministry of Health, and that will be deposited in the courts today, May 8th. So I think finally there is light at the end of the tunnel, because as we know, at the center of all this have been Kenyans suffering. That is one. And two, we saw even with the floods issue, and knowing after floods, normally there's like a cholera outbreak, communicable diseases. So finally, if the doctors are back and the ministry is prepared, then that means our people will not suffer. Tasline?
Yes.
What do you think?
I think that it's a great thing because I think they've been out of work for over 50 days.
Yes.
And then we also have the other strike going on with the COs, clinical officers. And so who has been suffering is the common mwananchi. And right now when we are experiencing floods, we've had people that have gone through accidents, and so who was treating them? And there are people that are coming from low-income families. And so they've not been okay. And Kenyans generally have not been okay because most people are not doing well financially, and considering that also the high cost of living. So I think that it's a very good thing. I'll be waiting to hear what this return to work plan that is going to be released, I think by 1. Yes. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good thing that we are going to have our doctors back in hospital, and they are going back because they are satisfied, not like they've been forced, like they were being forced to go back to work.
Okay, Chepchumba.
Yeah.
Qua ground, I say sometimes we can sit here at the capital city and think that because maybe things are working here, things are working everywhere. Sometimes we forget that we have rural areas that even are inaccessible for just the normal goods to get there, or services in this case also being medical services. So qua ground, uko Mount Elgon, how are things, and what are your thoughts about finally there's an agreement between COG, KMPDU and the ministry?
Yeah. Thank you for that. And because I come from those very interior places of Mount Elgon, and for this issue of health, also in the health board, that is Cheptai Sub-County Hospital, and it is so unfortunate that we sometimes blame maybe the ministry or the inline ministries for not taking or not intervening to the strikes. But then as medical practitioners and nurses and all those bodies governed by the KMPDU, individuals must know that people suffering are Kenyans, and especially from those rural areas like where I come from. And the vulnerable people like children, women, and people living with disabilities are on the receiving end. And I'm happy that at the end of this all, there's smoke over. There's something coming up. So if we are not going to as individuals, and specifically to those nurses who are not even sensitive to the fact that people are suffering, and in the first place, they signed an agreement, a contract agreeing on the conditions that that is what they are going to receive, and as a salary or as whatever they are going to be paid for. So it's humanly to look into what you are doing, and who are you going to serve, and what are the consequences for striking for all those days. You see, we have areas like Mount Elgon, and even accessing those services is a problem, considering the road, the terrain, the topography, and all that. So when someone has struggled, especially those women who seek services from the government institutions like the government hospitals, you find it very hard. They have used different ways. Like where I come from, they even end up using wheelbarrows and donkeys to reach to these hospitals, seeking for health services. And reaching there, there is no doctor, there is no nurse, there is nothing. So it is so devastating to find that we have these vulnerable groups, which these KMPDU and all the bodies on health matters should be looking into. Let's not look into what am I going to earn out of this, but be sensitive to the fact that we are serving humanity.
Okay, we are serving humanity. And part of the headlines of People's Daily is petitioner steps up his battle on Linturi sacking, and the Standard picks it up, food crisis looms. So as we know, food security is almost a national security matter. Because if we have drought, if we have now the ravaging floods like we have experienced in the recent weeks, it means it will threaten our food reserves and the kind of production that we are going to get this year. And with the scandal going on of the fake fertilizer, it means we've even jeopardized our chances further. But we have seen the select committee is ongoing. They are sitting, and we have seen the submissions being made by Honorable Jack Wamboka. We also saw Linturi spoke through his lawyer, but he's yet to make a submission. We have seen the list of witnesses that each side is going to give. So Linturi, the CS, is also going to be a witness on his side. So what are some of your expectations, even away from the politics, just as a Kenyan? What are your expectations? What do you want to see come out of that committee? What kind of report are we waiting after the 10 days that they were given by the Speaker of the National Assembly?
As a Kenyan, I expect names. And when these names come out, I expect that something is going to be done about it. Because you have a CS who's sitting in a chair, and he's been careless with his mandate, and he let this happen. We had fake fertilizer being distributed across the country, and people use this fertilizer waiting to get something out of it. And then all of a sudden, it's being said that it's fake. Who did it? And how did this CS allow this to happen? So these are the things that we are expecting to hear in the report. We also want to hear now what next. Because they bought the fertilizer, they are already experiencing losses. So what next for them as the farmers? And so these are the clear. And then we should also come up with clear structures so that we know it's easy to follow. Like, where is this fertilizer coming from? So who is going to be punished? Is it the person who supplied the fertilizer? Is it the CS? Is it those people who are doing the procurement? Because someone has to be liable.
Chepchumba, pale nyumbani.
Let me add something on what she has said on the fertilizer issue and the Linturi whatever. Me personally, I'm expecting action to be taken because that is a very serious issue that will jeopardize, as you've said, the efforts of the government trying to fight poverty and working on food security. You remember, like the western region part of the country, the people are dependent on agriculture. And as we are speaking, having fake fertilizer and now this calamity of floods and all those, it is going to be another disaster away from what we are experiencing now. And the president once said in one of the meetings that he knows of CSS who don't even, they don't even understand what is happening in their ministries. So you will see these are the repercussions of someone who is seated in an office, not knowing what is happening in his own ministry. So it is so unfortunate that this is happening to a country that we are fighting. We are fighting to make sure that we are working on poverty eradication and restoring food security. So it is so unfortunate, and I'm expecting that action will be taken against the said person.
And just to add on whatever you've said, when the president said that the CSS don't even know what's happening in their ministries, what did the president do about it? Nothing.
Okay, Jepchumba, you've said action. Both of you have said you want to see action, you want to see heads roll. When you say action, what kind of action do you mean? Because there's the option of firing, impeachment like we have seen, but also there are the other options of the justice system where we finally see someone go to court and serve a jail term. So when you talk about action, what exactly do you mean?
I mean action because if it is found, and I hope investigations are being done, if anyone is found guilty of supplying fake fertilizer, what do you think it should be done? See, that is the action I'm talking about. So, and to add on what my sister is saying, that is asking that what did the president do after discovering that we have CSS who really don't understand what is happening in their ministry. I'm saying that because the president couldn't have maybe done a reshuffle before the evidences. Maybe he knew something was amiss, but you can't take any action without evidence. And now we've seen this. So it is upon the president and any other legal team to take action about what is happening and to the concerned persons.
Okay, so we move to the Daily Nation, and the headlines of the Daily Nation say, floods plague and cholera outbreak as state confirms 34 cases. So we have touched on it in the earlier part of our conversation that every time there are floods, what is almost expected is a cholera outbreak and other communicable diseases. So we'll also see rise in malaria cases because of mosquitoes and what have you. So it goes to disaster preparedness or management of our country and the cohesion between ministry and government agencies. And for 34 cases, what does this say? Are we prepared, or will we see this number rise?
The number is definitely going to rise if we continue having rains. And considering that the people that are still affected by these are people that live in the informal settlements, then the numbers are going to obviously rise. The disaster management in our country is really poor, because if you see how they've responded to the floods, then it begs the question, what structures do we really have? The president, is it yesterday or the other day, he visited Mathare, and he promised to give the affected families who were moved, they were moved even without like a notice. He promised to give them 10,000 shillings for 4 months. If you calculate 10,000 by 4 months, but everything in your house is gone. They came, they destroyed, and even someone died. A young boy who was a sickler, left by the mother. The mother went to look for medicine for him. And then these guys came with their bulldozers and brought the house down. The boy was inside, he couldn't move, and so he died. And they were warned, but they did nothing about it. But now the president went there and said that kila mtu na tao yake 10, moja kali sana, kini ukiangalia hii tao 10 mtu anaenda kufanyia nini? What is it really going to help? So yes, we should relook. And I saw Sakaja was speaking, I think he was speaking, it was a committee thing, and he was saying how we have people who've done theology working in that department in Nairobi County. That shows you how we give people jobs that they're not supposed to do, or they're not qualified to do. So they don't even know what they're supposed to do to begin with. You see, I know it said that when you're giving these appointment jobs, there are people who are technical, who are supposed to do the rest. But still, as a person, you also need to have the know-how and you have the capacity to do this job, so that when something like this that's happening right now, then it can be salvaged faster or in a better way than what is happening in the country, because I think that it's messed up.
Okay, and I like that you have touched on the Governor Sakaja issue, because it is part of our conversation today. Mm-hmm. But just to finish up on our newspaper review, the Star says tough questions for Linturi in ejection bid. So again, Kenyans are watching to see what is going to come out of the select committee as the report, and also what action is going to be taken thereafter. Mm-hmm. Now, to begin our conversation today, you have talked about Governor Sakaja, and we saw him at the Senate, that he finally heeded to their calls, and we've seen that they've summoned him a couple of times, but finally he was able to appear, and he came with part of his team. We saw the CEC, we saw people in the supply and management, procurement, and all that, and tough questions were being asked, and the chair, Honorable Kajwang, was very, very decisive and tough, as he always is. And we also saw Senator Sifuna, Senator from Nairobi. And part of what you have just touched on is the mismatch of jobs. Because it's one thing to have a degree, but is it a degree in the field that you understand and have know-how on how to operate, especially the technicalities? For example, disaster management. And we have experienced it in the recent past. Do you think Nairobi County responded, one, in a timely manner, or two, should they have responded better? Did we fall short in the response? Emily. Sorry, Eunice.
Yeah. There are those who call me Emily Jepchumba.
Oh yeah, because of this.
Because of this one. But let me say something on the disaster we are experiencing, is that we have the planning team and the planning department, but don't we think as wananchi pia we fail, and we put ourselves in this, because you can, like the Mathare and those informal settlements, you find that people settle even at the riverbanks. They have encroached up to the riparian areas, and you find that someone has constructed a house, on top of waters. So what does that mean? It means we are tuko vichwa ngumu, kwa sababu what do we gain by going against the notices we've been given, and as parents or as citizens of if we really mean good for our families and for ourselves, you find that people, especially the youths, they have, taking an example of Mathare, because this is what I saw it and I experienced. You'll find that majority of those who were swept by waters were drunk youths. They have involved themselves into drug abuse and they understand nothing about disaster. You could see a youth standing, wait for gas imeletwa na maji, and he's trying to grab the gas and he's swept away with, by waters. So this is carelessness of us as citizens, and we should always listen to warnings. We have early warnings. We have notices that are being given by the government in preparedness of anything that can happen during this period. But what I can say is that let's all take precaution. And I'm urging that the planning and the disaster preparedness team work on education, on educating the community on the happenings and the early warnings and how people should prepare themselves to get away from those danger zone areas. So
I want to say something.
But let's just a minute, Tasline.
To finish is that let's not. Okay, we can blame the government, but on this other hand, we should also blame ourselves.
Because yesterday, as part of our conversation, we were talking about disaster management and preparedness and how prepared we are as a country. Mm-hmm. And someone pointed it out to ask, so what is the citizen responsibility? Mm-hmm. We can throw blame at the government as much as we want, but have we done our part as the citizens? Exactly. But also, Emily, I am curious to hear Eunice. Allow me to Jepchumba, that one is the best. Jepchumba, now on the issue of job matching, I am curious to hear what your thoughts are, because you see, if for example you've done a degree in disaster management, it is very easy for you to know what to do, where to go, and even those warnings that you're talking about, how early to give them. When the disaster has happened, maybe people didn't heed to the call, as you're saying. What can we? You know how to respond because that is in your field. You have been trained on it. But if it is indeed true what we saw come out during the Senate hearings, it means that there's a mismatch. Yes, you are qualified, you have the degree, but is it in the field that you're handling? Is it in the field that you're heading? We even saw the people of the fire rescue, we are being told they've done a degree in library. Not to say that it is the wrong degree, but you see, does that match with the job?
Before we go to the mismatch of jobs and what have you, let's go back to what you've been saying, that what is the responsibility of citizens on this? Because take for example, rains at night, for example, or even during the day. We experienced, like in places like MYWO and those areas that were affected during the day. So what do you say? When does peppers come in an event like this? When? Because we are not going to talk. This is a disaster. This is a calamity that has caught us unaware. What do you do if you are Sakaja, or if you are the CS for that matter? Something has happened now. If it was you, what would you have done? Because maji imekuja, imebeba watu. Even those people who are swept away by water were not aware that there were rains somewhere else. But what I can say is that if there is mismatch of jobs, maybe that is something that it can be investigated, and maybe the government will rectify if there is. But for this matter, I'll take it up as a calamity. It has come unawares. because there is nothing I can do as a person. Niamke usiku as a governor, niende niokoe watu. Where will you run to? Utakimbia hapa ama utakimbia hapa? All I'm saying is that there is this mismatch of jobs, as you say, and there is something that should be addressed immediately. So what are we going to do? What is the responsibility of the citizens, and what is the responsibility of a governor or the chief officer in charge of that as per now?
Okay,
let me just do this. I think that it's very insensitive to say that people who've died in the floods were drunkards and they've built houses on SG on top of rivers. Where are they building these houses? In Mathare. Why? Due to poverty. Why are they poor? There are no jobs. These people, some of them are educated, but they cannot find employment. And when they build there, it's not like they want to live there, but that is what they can access. That is what they can afford. So it's very insensitive to say that people who were swept away, like it was their fault. I don't think that they should take any fault. And this was a disaster. And though that means that no one expected it. And I don't think that anyone was warned. We were not forewarned. And so the government was also not ready to respond to it. But I still believe that the government can do better. And saying that the government cannot divide, we have disaster management. If it's there, then we should have the correct measures, that if there's fire, then the government can, like if we have even 10 fires in Nairobi, the government can get there like in real time as soon as possible. But you cannot say that the government was not prepared. The government didn't have time to divide themselves. Wengine waende Mathare, wengine waende Kibra, wengine, even like a house imeanguka hapa Ilri. A very nice house, and it's not informal settlers, like nyumba mzuri. And then there was also people from Runda that were affected by the floods. So who's being blamed by that? You see, and then the people don't have the information. Has the government ever come to us and told us that if this happens, then you as citizens, you should do this? No one has ever told us. So you cannot put the blame on the citizen. Yes, we should be responsible, but how, to what extent? The government has to come in and be like do their part before now tuanze kusema kwa nini umejenga nyumba juu ya river.
Okay. Let me respond to kidogo too, because you see, my sister is asking what the government has done concerning people building houses on those areas. You as a person, I still go back to us as citizens. You as a person, when building a house on top of waters, what do you expect? I'm just asking. Uh-huh. Is there land there? You know that is a riparian area. How do you? Are you not going against the law? Are you really a law abider? Because let's be factual. I don't have land. Must I build my house on that specific area? Okay, again, the government, on intervention of the government knew that there were people who are homeless. And that is why it came with the housing program. I mean, the affordable housing program. And majority of us who are doing this were against it. Now, I'm not saying that those people, okay, they don't have land to build their houses, but must they really do that to those areas? You see, so let's not be so much okay. This is what I'm thinking, that the government saw it right to come up with that program, and the citizens also should be accepting and bearing in mind that there is no land, and the government has provided us with this program of affordable houses. Why don't we buy the idea and come out of that. Of the danger.
So
on the
Eunice,
issue
Eunice,
of,
you believe that people from Mathare will afford the affordable houses?
No, I'm just saying. But okay,
It's going to be
okay. There is no free land from the government that the government will
but
now
that's their
say
lived reality.
The
They live there
government,
because that is what they can
The government
afford.
will have no land. Okay. You are again contradicting yourself.
Chepchumba, give me a minute.
I'm being clear.
No else. They have
That is
nowhere
their reality.
else.
These people are poor.
To go.
That
They
is
are
what
poor.
they can afford.
So are you saying because I'm poor, I should stay there and wait for waters to suit me?
But they were living there before
Let
the
us hear
waters.
from the viewers.
So what is your view? You are the government. What do you do
The
now
government
that you are saying that is where they
Tasline
should
and Jepchumba,
stay?
give me a minute to engage our viewers. So I have a question to our viewers. Do you think academic papers should determine the docket one heads, especially in county governments? So let us know your thoughts on matching or mismatch of jobs. And engage us on New Day TV, that is YouTube and Facebook. Kindly like, share, subscribe, comment. We want to have a conversation collectively, both from our guests on studio and also you at home watching us from wherever you are. But also, do you think, like the way the United States work, which is what we envisioned for our country when we included devolution? Now, the county governments were meant to take services closer to the people, but one particular county, which is Nairobi County, is proving to be a bit difficult to govern. All the governors that we have seen come through since we had devolution in 2013, that's the first election after devolution, the governors kind of have a hard time in management of Nairobi. The way the United States work, you have the 50 states and then you have DC, which is the capital of the United States, as it's a metropolitan. It's not a state. So should we have retained Nairobi as a metropolitan and leave it managed, let it be managed by the central government, that is the national government, or were we right in going the county government way?
Thank you. For Nairobi is a bit complicated because of various aspects. And so when we had the NMS, I feel like the NMS did a better job than the other three governors, the current governor and the other two, because during the first governor, we had a lot of corruption, nothing was moving in the country. And then we now elected a joker who was just doing his own things. And then now we have Sakaja, and he has also inherited a city that has been purely mismanaged for some time. So he also, I really can't put all blame on him because he inherited something that was not working already. And so he's been trying. And what I like about him is that he brought people who had like different thoughts. And he's not working well, but I can just say that he's trying, but he's not yet there. Because he's also done very funny things that you can't even put like on your thoughts on it. Even just beginning with what the disaster management right now is having, he failed there terribly, and also other things like corruption, which he has not really taken care of. So yes, I believe that we can redo this. We can rethink about this because Nairobi is not working at all. If we can take it back to NMS, then so be it.
Jepchumba,
Yep.
Metropolitan vis-a-vis county government.
To me, my sisters has really exhausted it, but I have something on inheriting. Inheriting a problem. It is hard, and it needs a lot of interventions, maybe from the national government and the county government, because first of all, to manage and to make sure that everything is settled in a very what should I say, needs a lot of money. And this is Nairobi. These are existing structures we are talking about. These like what we were discussing over the floods and Mathare and all that. That is something that would have been done earlier before this, because it's all about planning and preparedness and doing the right thing, which it did not start yesterday. It was there before. Issues of corruption and issues of leaders not being responsible and accountable is something that we should work on, and especially in a city like Nairobi. Nairobi needs needs funds and enough funds to do that, to do this. But I can't comment on encouraging metropolitan versus the county government. What I can say is that people should be responsible and see the essence of working for the people and in the right way.
Okay, that moves us. Part of our conversation will be largely dominated by what has been going on recently in the country, because it informs our political decisions, alignments, realignments, and everything else. We saw Raila come out to condemn the government for how they handled the floods issue, which has sparked a lot of debate, especially in regards to his AU commission chairperson. And so part of the KK government, which came out strongly to support his bid, and he has the political goodwill, is now almost questioning on why they should support him. So my question would be, was the support conditional?
It is obviously conditional, because I don't think that they should peg everything he says on the AUC seats. The president sat by himself and thought that Baba would be the best person for this seat. And it was on competency, it was on merit base. And then now, just because Raila has called out the incompetency, now the MPs are out there saying that Raila is biting the hand that feeds him. But Raila is a leader, and he is mandated. And people look up to him to speak on their behalf, especially the common mwananchi. If Raila shuts up, then who's going to speak on their behalf? Who's going to raise these issues? Because we've had people talk about these issues, but they've not really been considered or given a fair ear. But when Raila spoke, everyone was up. What is Raila saying? And then now they are trying to guilt trip him for speaking against the government. But as a people or as a country, even if you're on the opposition or you're on the government side, you should be able to speak about impunity. You should be able to speak about these things that happen in the country. If we shut up, then things will not move. And I really commend Raila for coming out and speaking for us as people and just keeping the government in check. And I still believe that he is the best person for this seat, and he will gain nothing if he gets it or if he doesn't get it, but Ruto has all to gain. So is the president going to move on and maybe dump him, or is he going to still support him? Because one way or another, he really needs Raila to be in that seat. Thank you.
Jepchumba, it is one thing to bite the hand that feeds you. It's another to speak up on the issues, just as Tasline has said. But does that mean that if I am angling for a job, I have to conform?
Yeah, especially the AUC. That is not an MP job. It is not a governorship job. It is a AUC job. And you see, Raila has been in government, especially in the last regime. He was there. And if I may ask, what did he do to make sure that whatever we are experiencing, the incompetency where? Because he should have even the issues we are highlighting here today, especially on those the informal settlements. He is there and he has high support in those areas. What has he do as a leader? Because even if you are an opposition leader, you must be able to make sure that things are done in the right way. And now that he was in government in the last regime, what did he do? How did he guide the government of that day? You see, because you can't just stand blaming and sit watching things happen wrongly, yet you call yourself a liberator, you call yourself an opposition leader with doing nothing. And AUC position is, the comments he made will significantly affect his bid negatively, because the AUC position has qualifications and qualification experience. That is a diplomatic position which need diplomatic skills and not political. You won't get it by having political opinions. Okay, it is his right to do that, but to me, he should have been able to say, while I was in government, I did ABCD, so that we see the discrepancies and the deficiencies on whatever he was commenting on. To me, it will affect his bid, and Kenya is one of the states that would have added some value to his bid. So,
Tasline, let me just ask a question before we continue. I just want to ask Chep what Raila's position was in the last regime, because in the last regime I know that President Ruto was the vice president, but I don't know the seat that Raila occupied in the last elections. In the last regime, I just know that he was an opposition leader, and you've clearly said that you've agreed that if Raila wants this AUC seat, then he should conform to bad leadership. And that actually shows where we are as a country, that if Raila wants to be the AUC, and I don't think AUC are looking for conformists. They're looking for someone who will be able to do the job. And that is why I think even different presidents have come out to support his bid, because they know even our president has come out to support Raila's bid. So, or if it's on merit, he's got it. And and currently he's still the opposition leader and he's doing his job. When he goes to the AUC, he will do the AUC job. You see.
What I'm saying is this. I didn't say. Okay, I've not said that you should not comment on anything concerning what we are seeing, but this is a diplomatic job. And as a leader, as you said, he was in the government. What was the handshake for?
What position
he was
did he hold?
Not a position, but handshake meant a lot to the people he was representing.
It meant working together.
Yeah, working together. Meaning, in fact, and I don't think if you didn't see that he was very close to the head of state. That means he had an opportunity to advise and even guide the government, because he was given that chance. Who doesn't understand the politics of Kenya during that time?
Yes.
That the deputy president was even he was elbowed, if I can say so, and Raila was here. He was very close to the president. So to me, if I was given that chance, I would have advised this partner of mine that to me handshake, and handshaking means that the people you came to represent, you had that opportunity to put things straight in the government. So we can't say that Raila was in opposition, yet He was in. What was the handshake for?
I have a question,
together.
Tasline, before you move on.
Okay.
And I would like us to understand here, or make our viewers also, let's elaborate. What is the role of the opposition leader? When you are in opposition, what does it mean? What are the do's and the don'ts? Or what is expected of you? What do people want to see you do?
The sole or the most or the main role of the opposition leader is to provide checks and balances to the government. Because that is the government, whatever the government is doing, they're supposed to provide checks and balances. If they're doing something wrong, they speak about it. And if they're doing something right, they also support. That is what the opposition does.
Did Raila do that?
Yes.
I have a question from our viewers. That is New Day TV. Kindly like, share, subscribe, comment. Let's have a conversation there. We had posed a question earlier on to ask, do we need to match degrees with job description? And we would like to hear from our viewers about that. But the first question is to you, Tasline, and that is from Gerald Bitoken. He says, so our friend, I believe it's you, Tasline, believes that the governor is trying, but the government isn't trying. And he's also watching from wherever he is. And then there's another question from Sherry Nyutu, who says, loving the conversation on the question posed, I do believe academic qualifications is an important add on to run a docket. It's a bit appalling to see a theologian running an office for disaster management in Nairobi. So,
can I answer Bitok?
You are a paradox.
Yes, the governor is trying, but the government is not trying.
Sure.
Yes, what I mean is, how many MPs do we have in Kenya? Are they all working, are they all performing the same? We have 47 governors in Kenya. But when we are doing ranking on development, do we have everyone as number 1 or do we have everyone as 47? There's always someone who's doing the best and then there's someone doing the worst. I said that the governor tried, in different aspects, to even bring people together, because there was a lot of, there was just that mood. I don't even know how to say to call it. But then that does not mean that the government is doing the right thing. So I'm saying that is what I'm saying. We have 47 governors in Kenya, but then we have number 1, we also have number last. We have the government doing things to do with health. We have the government, now the national government, doing everything, but then they're not working well. That is what I mean. Thank you.
No, but you Tasline, you are contradicting yourself, because we were in Nairobi, to be specific, we were on a specific issue. We were not. It was on a specific issue of managing Nairobi and the issue of floods and what have you. So when you said, I allowed Gerald comment that you are biased here, because you can't delink the government and the governor. Because when we say the governor is trying, it means the government is trying. We have
the national government, we have the county government.
Yes, these are governments.
Yes.
And, we have 2 levels of government, but they complement each other.
Yes.
When you say Sakaja is trying, you must also be able to say, I agree to my point that the government is also trying, especially on introducing.
They are not trying.
On introducing the affordable housing issue to curb the problem that is already existing. So that one, this is a sustainable solution. We can't say we are going to provide houses for this specific area, and we have those areas are populated. What do you expect the government do now that floods are natural calamities to me, especially this one. But what do you expect government do apart from evacuating the victims of the floods? So that was an emergency issue. Now the government is providing a long-lasting solution by introducing the housing, the affordable housing, which the citizens should buy the idea, because the government, to me, doesn't have land that we are going to say, sasa ndio hii shamba nyinyi mtoke Mathare kujeni mujenge hapa. And I'm going back to my point that citizens should also be responsible to make sure that for their safety and their children's safety.
Thank you. Can I just ask one question on that affordable housing? First of all, it was not procedurally done. And then I still ask the question, how many people from Mathare are going to afford these houses?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Okay, we can identify these ones because you will bear with me that there are these people, these specific people, when you wanaishi ndani ya maji, if I can say that.
Because that's their reality. That's what they can afford.
That is what they can afford. But is it really right? When you say the government didn't follow the right procedure to come up with the issue of the housing.
Yeah, that one.
What about these people who are encroaching on the riverbanks?
Because that's their reality.
No.
Conditions have made them live there.
The same condition will make them buy this idea and come out of danger.
They cannot buy it because they can't even afford
they are illegally building their houses in those riparian areas.
That's what I'm telling you. Poverty is not that simple to talk about.
But poverty cannot take you to that extent.
Actually, it can't. That is why they live there, because they are poor. They cannot afford to live there.
We can't justify that. By being poor, you have to go and build your house.
You've refused to live their realities.
No, that is not right.
Tasline, Jepchumba and Tasline, and as we're having the conversation, we have alluded to and touched on corruption. Now, we have also seen the county governments, the reports from the Auditor General on how county money is being managed or used, and that is public money, because it is taxpayers' money. There is a question that came out not so long ago, I think it was yesterday and the other day, the debate on Ukur Yatani, the former CS of Treasury. And some of his assets have been frozen through, a family kin and ECEN. But there was the question of timing, because this particular issue that came up is an issue that happened 8 years ago. And ECEN are now following up to prosecute, to hold to account. And so the Kenyans are asking, is the timing, is ECEN objective, that is one, and without bias, is it non-partisan? Because you cannot have a corruption scandal that was not addressed for 8 years, but suddenly, because I think the CS had made some pronouncements that he's going to want to go back to vie for governorship. So there's the issue of the objectivity of ECEN and it's where it lies in terms of being partisan or non-partisan. Are we taking too long to prosecute matters? Are we taking too long to hold people to account, especially when it comes to public money, if that is the case? But also, on the other hand, is it political witch hunt?
Thank you. First of all, justice delayed is justice denied. If someone had a corruption case or did something 8 years ago, and then right now is when the government is now trying to, or ECEN is trying to hold them accountable, then that means that there's a vendetta. There's something to it. And if that person or the CS has come out to say that he's vying, that of course that's a witch hunt. And yes, we have a very huge gap in how the government times, and it's just not in matters corruption. All cases that go through the judiciary are usually there's usually too much time goes without them being solved. 2 months ago, we were talking about this young girl's case. She was molested when she was 9. The case has stayed in court for 10 years, and there's nothing that has been done. Do you think that there's justice here? So it's just generally the justice system is messed up in Kenya, and ECEN is also not objective. According to me, they are not objective.
Jepchumba,
yeah.
What is the political? Is there a political motive? Is it actually justice being served and ensuring that no public money ends up in anyone's pockets? Or are we are we being reactive?
We are not being reactive, but okay. As a government, you remember the president's the president's manifesto, he promised to work on corruption, and maybe to talk about the I mean, corruption is corruption. Whatever time it takes, it must be looked into, and from the justice system. Okay, we cry, okay, or we blame when it doesn't work, but when it works again, we go back to why did it take time to work on justice? Don't we see the government is working on corruption, and maybe the president has got time now to work on corruption, because maybe in those years you've said it has taken us 8 years to work on this case, but to me it is the right time. Anytime justice is done is the right time, and as I've said, it doesn't matter whatever time it takes, but we have reasons to why maybe it took that long. And investigations and all those eat on the time of an institution to, kuchukua hatua. So by the judiciary taking action on this specific matter, it doesn't mean that the government, this is the right government and it is the right time to work on corruption. And in any case, any other case arises, this is the right time. Na nataka niseme, I want to thank the government, because like we spoke about the Linturi issue, and now this. Don't you think we are working on corruption as the president manifesto said? Now, as citizens and law abiders, we should be thanking the government for this. Now, I think I can't say more about that, but what I can say is that the right thing is being done at the right time, and for the people, and justice to be realized.
Okay, thank you, Eunice. Can I just add on what you've said? You've said we cry when it's not working, and also when it's taking also too long, we also cry. Yeah. So it's like if you're married, your husband beats you, and then now over time he reduces it. So it's okay that he's reducing the beating. Like you're supporting a lesser evil. When something is wrong, it's wrong. Why did it take 8 years for this person to be looked into? Why are they doing it right now? And they're doing it when he said that he's going to buy. That's pure witch hunt. And then you are also saying that this issue of Linturi is making the government look like it's working. How is it working yet Linturi is still in office with all his incompetence? How is it working?
Okay, let me start with what you've asked me. What I'm saying is this. You are also taking a political trajectory instead of addressing the issue at hand. What I'm saying is this. The question you should have asked is, why didn't it happen in that particular time, and why now?
That is exactly what I asked you.
Don't you see it is this regime that is working on corruption? Why didn't he?
But the president was also in those other regimes.
No, which president? Was he the president?
He was the vice.
He wasn't
the second in command.
What do you do as, the second in command? Yes. What about the first in command?
But the first in command is not in question right now.
No, why didn't he do this?
Why didn't the vice president advise him to do it?
Why are we complaining now?
We are complaining because it has taken too long.
Okay, when the president is working on something that was not done when he was not the president.
Speak through the chair. Anyway, I get the temperatures are high because on one side we have government.
No, but let's be realistic. Let's be realistic.
You call yourself a HRD, lakini tutaenda kuongea nyuma ya tena.
Moving forward, there's an issue we have solved. I want to believe the doctors' issue with KMPDU, but there's one that is arising with the teachers and the junior secondary schools, where the junior secondary school teachers are crying out to be absorbed as permanent and pensionable employees of the government through TSC. But also there's a time we saw TSC distribute their employment through members of parliament. That each MP was getting a certain number and then you employ from the constituency. So are we moving from one crisis to another? Because also there was the issue of capitation fund, and the teachers had said the last time before the kids broke for holiday that if the capitation fund is not released, then second term is going to be a bit difficult, even in terms of providing basic services like food. So should we arrest the issue now, or should we wait again until it is a crisis like the doctors?
Yeah, this issue is going to be a crisis because there's also the issue of the transition. I don't know if we're going to have Form 1s, but they're still in primary school. There's something of that sort. And the government has not yet looked into it well. So people are still very confused. And I believe that as teachers, this is what they deserve. If they want to be permanent and pensionable, then that is something that the government can offer, because these are people that are going to teach our children for the years that the children will be in school. So I feel like it's a fair ask, and it should be looked into. Because if it's not looked into, then we are going to have another huge strike again. I remember there was a time that teachers striked for a very long time. Yeah, and kids didn't go to school, and so who lost? The children. And it's not just any children; it's children in the public schools, meaning children from poor families. So I think that this is something that we can look into. And for capitation fund, I don't think that the kids are even going to have food. They're going to have a lot of shortages in the schools. And now that they're even going to join late after wazazi wameshakula school fees, sasa afya hiyo iangaliwe sana. Thank you.
Jepchumba, umekula school fees?
Unaona anacheka.
Yeah, tumekula school fees, but I want to say something on the teachers' employment by the MPs. Who is teachers' employer? TSC. And how does an MP come in?
They were given part of they lobbied to get some of the employment letters to employ from the constituency. So there's what TSC is still doing, but there's also what is being channeled through the MPs. But as we know, where is the fairness in that? Because if, for example, Jepchumba, you vied and I did not support you, and I am a teacher by training, so I am waiting to be employed by TSC. Are you going to be fair in your distribution? So where is the fairness in that? Because part of their complaints and what we've been seeing is how it is being done. Because when it is being done by a central system, that is TSC, it is easy to distribute and say, Tasline graduated first, so she has the chance to go in first. But when you take it political, what are the implications?
Okay, maybe I want to... is there a discussion or maybe an act that informed this? No. That the TSC should now work with the MPs in teachers' employment, something like that. Was there an agreement?
No.
And if there is none, then I treat it as a rumor, because I don't work on if it is something that is not, it was not well structured through the right channels, and then I'm not going to comment on that, and I'll treat it as a rumor, because what I know is the employer of teachers is TSC, and that is period. And TSC should work on what is rightfully their job and according to the procedure.
Okay, can I add something on that? I support you on some, but I also want to add that this thing of MPs giving letters, you can look at it in like two sides. Mm. Yes, the wrong side where they are going to give it, distribute the letters unfairly, looking at who voted for me and who did not vote for me. And so that is going to bring a lot of issues. But then they also say that they want to make sure that they empower their people, like, so that if they're distributing the letters, they make sure that this ward has 10, that ward has 10, because I don't think that TSC has that, capability of
ground information.
Yes. So I think that that can also maybe be one of the things that they're saying, that they want people from the ground, from the like the various constituencies employed, which makes sense. So it is a two-sided coin, but I still believe that it should be taken back to TSC. Yes, but this happens not just for teachers. It happens even in the KDF. It happens everywhere. So it's not a rumor. It's a reality.
But when we say it is going to be taken back to the TSC, it means that you believe that it is there with the MPs, which I've said we should not work on rumors. There are ways of doing that, and if really the TSC has allowed that to the MPs, then it means we go as per Tasline. Per what Tasline has said, that if that happens in a legal way, so that they are committed to that, then the MPs should look on the vulnerabilities and the most deserving cases and spread them across maybe the constituencies and do what is supposed to be done, and not taking it politically and maybe giving them to their cronies. But all in all, I up to now, I don't believe that there is something like this happening at this era.
Yes, if you look at how school fees or CDF for the county, yes, NG and then the county, and then the two, how they're distributed, they're usually not so fair, especially in the ward level. So I wouldn't want it to.
Remaining on the same, within the same topic of education, as we know, learners are yet to go back to school because of what was happening, that is the floods. So there was a directive, again by government, to postpone opening of schools. But we have seen some schools, especially private schools, have switched to online learning. That means students who go to public schools are at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Remember, if it comes to doing an exam, especially a national exam that is standardized across the country, you will sit the same paper regardless of your background or when you joined school this term. How are we going to ensure that despite our various background challenges, we are still able to level the playing field, especially when it comes to basics like education, health, housing, all these things that we have touched on? How do we ensure that there is fairness in how we do things, especially where it matters? Because remember, children are, we call it the future generation. So if we have to get it right in a way that there's a level playing field, how do we ensure that happens and not disadvantage one group over the other?
Yeah, it's a very complicated issue to even discuss, because I was talking to my sister and she's a teacher. She's already back in school. But these other kids are at home. I remember when COVID happened, schools had online learning, but how many schools actually did it? It's schools that could maybe even had the infrastructure, schools that could, like, it was hard to look into. And then so kids from disadvantaged families, like those ones living in the informal settlements, those ones living in the rural Kenya, in the rural areas, did not take part in it. And so if you look at how they performed in the examination, you can actually see how the inequality, like, it just painted itself on the performance of the kids. So maybe one of the things that the government can do, but I think it's done, they can just do away with examinations. Because yes, if a child is not yet back to school, and we don't know, because the CS Kindiki said that he has allowed teachers or schools to decide, not for now, but after now the schools will officially open. He has allowed them to decide now if it's still feasible for their kids to go back. So maybe schools that have been affected, like I saw there are schools that have been ravaged, most of them will not open yet. And so we have candidates that are still there. So what is going to happen to them? So yes, I think that one of the things is to do away with the examinations, because they've also proven not to be working. Thank you.
By examination, you mean the national exam?
Yes.
Okay.
And to enable that, I think the government through the ministry should work towards reducing the disparities. And disparities here are informed by socio-economic status of both. You see, all children, regardless of what I've said, should be made. I mean, the government should provide a field, an equal field to all the children. I mean, to all Kenyan children, so that they access high quality education. And this one will be done maybe if we come up with that. I mean, we work on our policies and make sure that they are implemented, because as we are experiencing now, the private schools are already on, and they are learning, and that means that we have a gap between the classes, the haves and the. So you see, it again goes back to the ministry and the government to come up, if there is none, to come up with a policy that equalizes the status, so that at the end of the day, all these children access quality education from the same resources and funding and all that. We are all Kenyans, and if we continue sitting back and looking on this happen, then it means we'll have the gap will still widen, and we'll still have those classes in our country, which is very, very bad. Because what about those children from the interior places, from those vulnerable families, those that are less fortunate? So the government should look into it on the policy perspective and make sure that it is implemented.
Yeah.
Tasline, why are you saying that we should do away with national exams?
For a very long time, the examinations have proven to be ineffective. First of all, there's a lot of, is it stealing? We steal examining. That one. It has happened a lot, and it also creates inequality, because you find that people that in certain schools are able to get these papers, and also the quality of education is not the same in different schools. Secondary schools have different quality of education from the national ones, because even from equipment, library, books, everything. And then now at the end of the year, you put these children and they go through the same examination, regardless of regardless of where you come from, what reality you live in. You find that the same children from Northeastern are doing the same exam with the children in Nyanza, but then they don't live the same reality. So the only thing that the government I see usually do is reduce entry points for campus or something. But I feel like it's not enough. I feel like we can just do away with examinations for now, because they've also proven that they're not working.
And instead have what?
As an alternative.
Now the government, through experts, you see, there will be no mismatch. Through experts to sit down and find best ways or alternatives to ensure that these kids are receive quality education, and they proceed like to high schools and to, because I also saw that they were going to divide schools to the national schools are going to do STEM, and then now what is that? That is another bias. Yes, so I think that the government can sit down and come up with better policies.
Yeah, it goes back to policies, but for me, doing away with the national exam will also create another disaster.
Which is what?
Which is, national exams are same and equal because, to me, it acts as an equalizer. We want all of them. Like I've said, we should make sure that pupils in public and in private schools we should look for ways of bringing them to an equal field, that they compete equally and provide all the necessary equipments or the structures that will enable them be equal in terms of accessing quality education. And that goes back to the national exam. When we do away with the national exam, then what does it mean? It means the private schools or any other institution that is able to provide a certain resources to its pupils or students, then we are again bringing back the issue of disparity, because we will now be doing it on different levels. And MYWO, the exam, the one exam that cut across the national, nationally, should remain equal, because we want equality and we want to realize parity in terms of access of quality education. And that means when we've accessed this quality education, the final way, or the last thing to define whether you've accessed that is the national examination, which should not be different, or should not be done at the institutional level. It should be national and uniform, and for uniformity.
Can I add something? We have, I think, countries that have this program of accumulated points, where there's no national examination, but then now you start accumulating your points from, I think, class 4 or 5. And so from class 4, you accumulate your points, and they're just not looking at examinations. They're looking at extracurricular activities. They're looking at your literally everything. And so as you move on, you are already accumulating your points. And then now from the points, you can also actually see that I was actually really good in doing math. So this is what I should move on with. I was actually really good in, but the points can be accumulated over time, but not putting them in this national examination, because this year we are going to have children that will not be fairly examined, because first of all, they were not in school with, like when the kids in the private schools were in school, they were at home. And then now more will even stay home, more, and then they will take time. And now at the end of the year, they'll be put or be subjected to the same kind of examination, which will be a bit unfair. That is just my take.
So you are suggesting continuous assessment, but also, yes. My last question to you, because I know, Jepchumba, you have to rush somewhere, as you had requested.
Yeah, can I add something before I forget?
You'll add to it. So I just want to pose the question, so you give your comment and remark as we finish up. So is it equity or equality? You can you can first give your comment, then continue.
To me, it's both. Equity because we have those in private and public. There must be equity, because if this one can access this level of education, why don't we also uplift this one to access the same, that which is quality education, by providing the necessary infrastructure that is supposed to be there. To my sister, maybe let's not. Okay, I'm not against, and again, I'm not supporting the coming up with a new system of exam. But look at the CBC issue. It is something that we adopted it. I don't know from where, but it's becoming a nuisance. Mm-hmm. It's like we don't understand, or we don't know what we are doing. because CBC to me is so, how should I even call it? It is it is so demeaning that our children do not even understand what they are supposed to do. You can imagine watoto wakitembea sokoni wamevaa magunia. Is that really what we want our children to do? Is that really what is supposed to be done? Because we are discussing education and matters education and quality education. So what are we doing here? And introducing another system of doing exam will again require a lot of statistics and a lot of, so that we have something that is workable. And as I've said, let's look into our policies, and policy makers should also make sure that they provide something that is workable, that is something that will, at the end of the day, bring parity and stop discrimination. Because when you look into the private schools, and same to private hospitals, so you'll find that we are creating this gap and creating it even more wider than we expect, thinking that we are addressing an issue, but we are not addressing. We are discussing about parity. We are not at par in terms of health, providing health services, providing quality education to our children, and even everything, all spheres of life. So by having policymakers, it means that we should have informed policymakers with expertise on specific issues. Like now we are discussing matters education and exam, and how it should be done, and how we are going to change things into reality through workable ways and mechanisms. So planning and policy making and even implementation, which is also a problem. So we should make sure that we work systematically, and whatever issue that comes across, like what we are discussing, is done in a very, very nice way, and that will benefit our people.
Okay, yeah. Tasline,
yes.
As you make your final remark, what would you like to see the government do with everything that we have spoken about today? If you were to speak to the government, and I would like you to, in that camera, what would you say? What would you tell the government?
Okay, thank you. If, like, going back to equity and equality, we have to be cognizant of the fact that we have existing inequalities already. And so when we talk about equality, then it will be very hard to reach out to those people who have already been disadvantaged and get them to the same level as those ones who are not living in disadvantage. And so the government can still continue with the affirmative action programs. We have free primary education, secondary education, and now work on reducing tertiary education costs, because they've been very high of late, and most students are not able to afford tertiary education. I remember when I was in campus, there's a semester I actually paid 10,000 only, because HELB paid for the rest. But now these kids, you're still being given the 21,000, but the fee is at 100,000. And if you're coming from a poor background, those ones from Madare that live on top of rivers, then you really cannot afford it. And so these are things that are going to, like, only just make, we're going to have a cycle. You're from a poor background, and then you work hard, you try your best, but then you're just taken back to poverty because of the inequalities that exist. So yeah, I believe in affirmative action. I believe in equity. And what I would love the government to do on whatever is going on in the country, first of all, looking at what is happening with the floods, the government should now be prepared for another calamity, because we are definitely going to have another calamity, maybe a famine, I don't know. So that is something that they're supposed to start acting on right now. And then they should restructure how they they did their recruitment and look at competency, look at merit, angalie who's going to sit on this place and how are we prepared. Do we even have the right machine to respond to calamities? And then on health, I think that one we can wait out, because it's going to be, we can wait and see how it plays out, because we'll know what happens in the afternoon. And then on education and teachers, I feel like the government should just continue doing it with TSC and give them what they want, because these are people that are nurturing our children. And I don't think anything is left. And so, yes, I just want the government to deliver what they promised them, wananchi, the bottom up, which is not bottoming. So, yes, let them just deliver. Thank you.
Jepchumba, my question to you would be, what do you want the citizen to do? What do you want the Kenyans to do? Because we've talked about collective responsibility, both from government and us as the citizens. How do you want to see the citizens respond to, like you were saying, when you're given directives, how do you respond? So what would you say to the citizens?
Okay. First of all, I just wanted to add something on what do I have to tell the government? And to me, let's work on inequalities. Inequalities is what has brought us to where we are for so long. You can imagine we have the vulnerable groups like the women, widows, orphans, children. Remember, we have child-headed families. We also have people living with disabilities. We have the minority and marginalized communities who are the majority. We have about 80 of them, minority and marginalized. How are they marginalized? Because of what we are talking about today, inequalities. The parity is not there. So we are going to balance this when we look into policies and even implement the same. If the policies are the things that are letting us down, then let's relook into them. Let's make sure that the responsible ministries, the responsible people are accountable. And we have the affirmative action, like my sister has said. Let the affirmative action be given to those who are meant to be given, and to make sure that the fund does what it was meant to do. And we also have calamities in waiting, as she has said. We have famine, we have diseases and hunger. Now that all food in the farms are swept away, we have the fake fertilizer, we have we have nothing. We are just waiting for more trouble. We have more trouble in waiting. So let's work on the policies, the competency in those line ministries. We have the personnel with the expertise of doing a specific thing the right way. So on the citizens' responsibility is that the citizens should be responsible. When a warning is given, like I'm also a member in Red Cross. So in Red Cross, we normally give early warnings to a certain calamity that we think is going to happen, like the rains and the floods so those people, for example, those people who are on the slopes of Mount Elgon, Elgeyo Marakwet, the MYWO, and those risky areas. When you are given a notice that you should move to a safer place, we have schools, we have institutions that are free. So let people take the responsibility and make sure that they listen to whatever they are being told, that they should move to a safer place. And again, those people encroaching to riparian areas, I want to tell them that it is illegal and we should be responsible citizens and law abiders. That is breaking law. And we should not break the law and again blame the government, even after being noticed of what is going to happen. So let's be responsible citizens and do the right thing at the right time.
All right. they have been our guests today, our lovely ladies, Jepchumba and Tasline. Thank you very much for honoring our invite and being part of our show this morning. We appreciate that you showed up in your spirit and ready to defend the cause. So I have been your host, Chepkoech Towett, on Siasa Wednesday, the Tackle Show. See you same place on Friday, Sheria Wiki hii. We will be tackling legal issues. Be safe out there. Heed to, notices as you have been told by Jepchumba.
Yes.
And the government, please also do as Tasline is saying. Enjoy the rest of your day.
We are trying.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you.
God bless.